started, get the word out on here and on post, which is really a nice change of pace. And then we will get this started. Welcome to the chat, everybody. I am Kalari GXC, and welcome to the Bonnet Chronicles. There is a lot to talk about tonight. I am sure you have all seen the week of Tech Napoleon melting down, and it's just been crazy. And I want to talk about so many things, but I also want to start out by thanking everybody. I decided a couple of days ago to try and my chance at fundraising for actual artists instead of just doing it for things like my own book, a collective where if I see somebody hurting that does artwork and I know that they're either a writer or artist and they need help, I am able to help them better. And so many of you have donated already. We are up to almost $750 raised. And I just want to thank you all for just being so sweet and generous. I know it's the holidays and the spirit of giving is great within the people who follow me. So it's just really appreciated. And hopefully we can start helping out people because I see them all the time, especially on Twitter. People who sketch, people who draw, people who just want to write, but also are struggling, you know, being able to send them, even if it's a couple of bucks here or there for food and stuff, means the world. You could be helping somebody who's literally a starving artist. So it's all appreciated. And I think everybody who is helping, who's spreading the word, who have donated, it is more than generous. And I really appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. And welcome to the Chat Ballot Club this week. And thank you for the resubscribe, honey. 20 months. It has been a crazy week. And I can't lie. I've got this nonsense highlighted because it's had me heated all day. And why it has me heated is because it's so insidiously coordinated now that people don't seem to want to understand how it starts. I had 30 years of anti Hillary Clinton sentiment constantly shoved down my throat as just normal talk from people who I thought even knew better. I just don't like something about her. What? Her civil rights, her ability to stand up for herself and her children, sticking with her husband. What was it about Hillary that you didn't like except the fact that she was an accomplished woman who was set on a prime path to become president? I watched them attack her character at every turn, making up lies. That whole Pizzagate thing, which I refused. I shut that down every chance I could. I wouldn't even let my group, when I had that political group, make it into what it was because I knew it was bullshit. And I knew that by amplifying it, we would give it more life than it deserved. So it became a rule with the CCC that anybody who tried was either censored or blocked. We were not going to help spread that lie. And I had to start showing people on social media, especially, how we help amplify a lie even when we're trying to discredit it. And there are plenty of ways of calling out bullcrap without helping spread poison. Now, one of the things that I like to do is when the reporter comes out of face, especially, is call them out. And little Miss Pippa here decided that she was going to dip her toes into the lake of misogynoir, which VP Harris has been dealing with ever since she did her initial presidential run. But even more so now that she's VP. Now I want all of you to sit back and try to recall every presidential election we've had the last few years, because some of us are old enough to remember quite a few. How many times has the media ever attacked a president's vice presidential pick to this extent? Literally trying to say that she supports diversity. I'm hugely in favor of more diversity in politics, in business, etc., and I've written 2 books on the need for active measures to accomplish this. My comment about at VP has nothing to do with her color, but the fact that Joe Biden team sidelined her. No, the president hasn't. And if you and your colleagues were doing your job, you realize that VP Harris has been all over our country and across the globe doing the job that a vice president does way better than that walking Q-tip that used to occupy our White House. But the fact of the matter is, she knows that she can be insidious with stuff like this. She can say stuff like the Biden administration is sidelining VP Harris, which she isn't. That's a lie. It's a clear lie. She has been all over the place. Pictures of her and Doug all over, from meet and greets to rallies where I'm pretty damn sure she, former President Obama, and the Bidens are the reason why we won Georgia, because we went all out. It was a star-studded event. She has gone overseas. I've seen her with Emmanuel Macron. I've seen her overseas with the Japanese imperial family. I have seen her talking with world leaders across the globe, here in South America and in Europe. And you would think the amount of work that our VP has done would get coverage and treated like, hey, look, we're finally getting work done. And no, dead space, dead silence. The only person who has sidelined her is our national media. And what troubles me is she'll try to act like she's an ally. Oh, I have no problem with diversity. Then you definitely have no problem with this administration. It is one of the most diverse administrations we've ever had, including our first female, Black, and Asian vice president, including our first openly gay Secretary of Transportation, our first ever Native American Secretary of the Interior. And need I remind you how insidious it is that it took us over 400 years for that to happen? Several historical appointments, including Justice Ketanji Jackson Brown. But to pip her, because she wants to try to make a point that she doesn't need to make because it's a lie, she wants to try and help continue the idea that VP Harris is not good enough. And that's all I and many others who have her back and who consider ourselves supporters, and not to a fanatical phase, because a lot of people want to accuse us of that because that's them. They're literally, and I'm going to get to this tonight because there's literally a pack now that wants Joe Biden not to run by Bernie brats again. And it's like, if you could organize enough votes to actually get votes instead of all these little antics and shenanigans instead to get money, we would actually have a better government. But you can't, you won't, and you are entitled. So I ain't got nothing for you. And I hope that your little pack dries up. I hope it costs you a bunch of money too. But it's these little antics by so-called allies that they think we don't see. But we have done this for over 30 years, watching you attack somebody's character who, unlike Hillary, I wish I had defended Hillary more. And I will always carry that regret. I fought hard, especially back in 2016, but I accepted some of the most asinine things people would say to me because I didn't want to fight every day. It was enough fight in the literal open, willing Trump supporters. I didn't want to fight with everybody who claimed to be my ally and have a blue wave emoji around me for why they couldn't bring themselves to vote for her. I just didn't have the energy, and I wish I did, because I'm not going to let you do this to VP Harris. I watch you take Hillary's accomplishments and diminish them, accept lies and rumors over the truth that's right in your face, get mad because she was daring to be herself, unapologetically happy when she wanted to be happy, angry when she wanted to be angry, genuine. Yous will fall for me, ma. I don't know what ethnicity I am. Elizabeth Warren's bullshit. Eat it up like it's freaking cotton candy when it's actual garbage. But you have somebody who is genuine, who has the legit record like Kamala Harris. And no, not the lies that some of them dusty hoteps have been talking about. Oh, she busted. She was a cop. She was never a cop. She was a prosecutor. Let's get it right. She made her way up from DA to prosecutor and attorney to senator. Her trajectory is very well documented. Now, if she had been a cop, that wouldn't have been held against her either. But she literally has a career that helped more Black students stay out of the prison pipeline. But you can't talk to people who really want them talking points of theirs to be the narrative. And they're not as dangerous to me as people like Pippa, who literally have a platform, who keep trying to make it seem like VP Harris is less than. And that is what we're up against. The next 2 years is going to be insidious between the people who don't want this accomplished administration, who are doing their job in spite of all of the entitlement, in spite of all the mess. They are doing their job effectively. And now we have a Senate majority. Yes, we do not have a House majority currently. And I'm still side eyeing those of you who didn't vote when you could have. But they're still not in enough control to where it matters. And Kevin McCarthy is flailing, threatening people. He does not have the charisma or the appeal to pull enough people together under him. So it's going to be a hot mess the next 2 years of him showing us why they should never lead anything. And then we will watch Hakeem Jeffries come in, do the job that a real majority leader is supposed to. That's just the way it is. Politics is a sometimes you gain, sometimes you lose game. But we are going to see how the Republicans handle themselves having a House lead. And I guarantee you, some of the stuff that we've been seeing them support, Curry Lake spaz out, talking about, I'm going to sue everybody. I should have won, but you didn't. The vote said you didn't. You need to move on. Accept your loss gracefully and act like a grown politician, but they can't do that. All they have is threats and tantrums. And it's because the societal image of supposed strength allows these things to go on that we see these people behave like this unchecked. And it has to be on us to call this out. It has to be on us to call out clear lies, like Pippa talking about the VP was sidelined when she wasn't. Clear nonsense like this stuff, and I hate to show it. Hopefully, it won't show too much of this picture, but I know we've all been subject to it. Sorry, y'all, if I have to see it. Apparently, Doofus, which I try to keep my Twitter timeline free of Turdicus Maximus, as I like to call him. But this was so asinine, and I think I would be crazy not to talk about how ridiculous this whole story was. It was bad enough when he said he was making an announcement. And whenever Trump says shit like that, I just ignore him anyway, because my whole thing is this man only deserves a jail sentence as far as I'm concerned. I don't like having to pay him any attention. But if I don't say how funny and sad this latest jaunt is, and how obvious it is a money laundering scheme, this man done put his body on poorly photoshopped pictures. He's seen the dark Brandon stuff that we were passing around. I don't think Trump understands that a lot of us made that meme caring because we actually enjoy President Biden. It was a term of endearment from us. And he took that as, well, I should have my face on stuff too. People need to make artwork of me that makes memes. And then I can sell those memes as an NFT. I still don't understand how people are buying NFTs. If you are watching this Bonnet Chronicles tonight and you need any financial advice, invest in traditional stocks. There are plenty of sites now. Acorns is something I personally use myself. There are plenty of small investment sites that work with any budget. Do that. Do not get pulled into these weird, I can buy a digital picture. They even had to say on his site that this is not a real investment. You may not see any return for buying these. And you're literally just paying $99 for a shitty sweepstakes to watch him eat hamburgers off expensive plates. Oh, I could win dinner at Mar-a-Lago? Ew. Who the heck wants that? And the fact that he allegedly, because I like to remind people that these people lie all the time. Like it's like breathing to Trump and his ilk. But allegedly, according to some reporters, he sold over 45,000 of these ugly ass cards at $99 a pop, netting him $4.5 million. And I honestly feel, and I came up with this earlier today, That's not even his fans because a lot of them people are going to jail. A lot of January 6th convictions. I don't think people understand because our reporters are too busy lying about what this administration is not doing instead of doing their job reporting about all these people who do it 6+ years for their Capitol riots. But the ones who aren't going to jail didn't really have the funds to be wasting $99 on this shit anyway. This is all people who think that this idiot still might have a chance again because a lot of us didn't believe he had a chance in the first place and he proved us wrong. So they want access. They want a beeline to this idiot's ears if he ever gets into the White House again. So they think, well, I could funnel my millions into artwork, which is normally how we launder money between us wealthy. Or I can pretend like I care about this stupid man's ego, buy a couple of his ugly ass trading cards, maybe get to sit up under him and see if he got those hidden papers still. This is all about wealthy people giving this tantrum toddler extra slush funds that he's just going to use to either abscond with or pay them high legal fees because last I checked, the New York AG held his feet to the fire and they found him guilty of tax fraud. So Trump's feeling some stuff. And of course, he goes to the one most scammy thing on the internet to try to make money. This should tell you anything about 45 is that you're not too rich to hit rock bottom. And him shelling out these ugly ass cards, I hope it's just a careening. I want to see him so broke that he can't even bum money, that people are like, I know he was a president, but we don't know him. Because that's how rich people get. And I don't think people understand that about that society. They'll put up with so much as long as they find you useful. But people see this move as pathetic. They see this move as desperate. It comes across as very unpresidential, very unhigh societal, and it's embarrassing. It's like watching an old person trying so hard to be cool and relevant, which leads me to the next image issue. And I'm not sure how far I can scroll down on posts. So user just gonna have to take my word for the Mustang. I've got the picture up here of it. I will read it from the repost from the postie. Basically, I lost the thing. Musk at 10:26, unless he erased the tweet, decided to lament about how journalists in other countries, regimes are often executed, and all he did was ban them from his platform. This is his words, y'all. I don't have to lie about this. I don't get anything from saying this. I feel like it is troublesome with somebody with that much power and wealth who literally had $44 billion to waste buying a site and still is the lame kid in the room. When you legitimately can tweet something like that out seriously and not understand the ramifications of it, you shouldn't be allowed to just murder somebody you don't like. And journalists should have to worry about being banned because you think what they said pissed you off. I should be allowed to ban. Okay, little Lord Fauntleroy. Yeah, it is your site. You're allowed to ban whoever the heck you want, but you do realize that as you continue to hemorrhage, especially after you pushed yourself as I'm for free speech, as you continue to contradict yourself out of people and way more alternative places for us to congregate and make better and bring actual revenue streams to pop up. I don't know what this tantrum is, and I'm pretty sure you don't have anybody around you that could take you to the side and say, you know what? Just lay off social media for a bit. Take a break. Go to Bali. Do something fun with your money that lets you know that you're a wealthy man and that you don't need to be the coolest kid on Twitter. Because you're never going to be at this point. I don't think Jack explained it enough to you, but even when he owned it, most people did nothing but complain about him. I don't think people understand that most people don't find success as enviable as they think. And you learned when you went to Dave Chappelle's show and got booed how people felt about you, and it wasn't stroking your ego down, was it there, Elon? And then you try to accuse these journalists of, well, they were doxing me. I need to protect my family. All right, I get it. Like several other of us who've had to deal with stalking. And I don't talk about this lightly because I get fearful every once in a while that the person that was doing it might go, she's thinking about me. Maybe I should start up again. That's always in the back of my mind because the dude literally threatened to show up at my house. That's how bad it got. I had to have people find out where he was and literally have it stop because it was getting scary. The amount of showing up on anything I did social, anything I did going out, I was looking over my shoulders because of his threat. So I know that it doesn't feel right feeling so, and I'm not anybody. So I can't imagine what it feels like for somebody who is well known, who probably does get a lot of threats and death threats. So I do not want to downplay that side of what Elon Musk might have been worried about if I believed the bullshit he was trying to sell us. But because my bullshit meter was going off, because I know that a lot of this was his excuses to go after, especially reporters that reported on Tesla stocks, go after anybody who didn't stroke his little EP ego. I know that it wasn't about being doxxed. Everybody knows where you are because you're constantly live tweeting where you are. You're the one that showed us pictures of the office you converted at Twitter to somehow spend the night or whatnot. The same office that you're apparently not paying rent for. And I noticed that the person that reported that is no longer able to access their accounts. It's not hard to put two and two together. And if you want to treat Twitter like a dictatorship, fine. I'm there to watch it burn until you ban me. But I am watching it burn. And one of the things I said to my friend earlier is it's frustrating to watch this man do a $44 billion tantrum and literally let the place fall apart. And I was trying to load post because Seth Abramson had a, you know how he is. He does them long ass tweet threads. I kind of regret doing threads because I feel like I started that trend and then he took it and did it on steroids. I didn't mind threading stuff sometimes because we had a character limit. But some people they go overboard, and sometimes his threads go into like the 70 plus range. You need to just write a newsletter at that point, Seth. But he did do an extra long post, and when I say extra long, it was he puts all the information in, y'all, and I can't fault him. At least he stays true to the journalism thing of all the information. But he had embedded in that massive wall of text this live, the probably last live we will have on Twitter, because little Lord Fauntleroy, or Tech Napoleon, as I'm going to keep calling Elon Musk, decided my feelings got hurt. No more Twitter spaces for you. He legitimately soup Nazi the one thing we were using to not only gather, organize, but it was fun. A lot of people were using spaces for entertainment purposes, for political purposes, or just to hang out. Yes, there were like I heard the argument that yeah, there was some bad groups using it for bigotry and all that stuff. That is social media in a nutshell. And for every one of those wannabe, and they were obvious attention grabbers, we ignored them. They didn't do well. There were a lot more groups that organized, that helped us focus on the election. That I loved. Two of my friends did a nerdy space for all kinds of stuff, from Star Trek to comic lore to mythology. It was just a good feeling. And it pisses me off that he just was like, nope. What troubles me is I don't even think it was on purpose. I think he fired so many people at Twitter that even if he wanted to put the spaces back, he couldn't. And that's the sad part. We are watching it. I hate using real world analogies, but we might as well, because whether people like it or not, everything we do in the digital world is an extension of ourselves. It's real. I know it doesn't feel real to people because it's like, oh, it's just I got my avatar, but no, it's real. And it's like watching somebody It's like watching somebody buy a building that you've lived in for all over 10 years. You know your neighbors. It's a really nice building. The last landlord might have been a bit of a misogynoir, but he kept it up nice. You got new features. The janitor, everybody worked together to keep the place nice. Everybody living there was fine. You didn't like your neighbors all the time. There might have been fights upstairs and downstairs, but as long as you mind your business, you were fine. The neighborhood was okay, fine. You start seeing a bit more bullshit, but it's like, you know what? The landlord will take care of that. And for the most part, landlord stepped in, kept disputes at a minimum, gave you tools to keep your place as safe as possible. Prime online real estate, just like owning a building. And then the owners decided to sell, which I can't blame them. If you could take something that maybe cost you a few million and sell it for 44 billion, I would no, I'm not gonna fault Jack for making that bag. No, I'm sorry, I won't. There's plenty of things that he got on my nerves about. I'm not gonna fault him for making that bag. But he sold it to somebody he knew was going to destabilize it. And now we are watching in real time. The landlord doesn't know how anything works. He's literally letting fires pop here, there, and everywhere, and it's burning down around us. And all I keep seeing is him in his wannabe Iron Man costume with everything burning around him going, no, it's fine. Everything's fine. I don't care if people are pulling out. I don't care if tenants have rushed over to other real estate. I want my free speech luxury apartment. I'm going to slap my name on it. It's mine. I'll kick out whoever I want. I'll harass whoever I want. People are doxing me. I'm going to lie. He is legitimately, and welcome to the chat, Terry Antico, the worst person that could have bought Twitter. And then you see the little insidious things he's been doing, like banning the Ukraine. And it's not hard to see where his mindset and path is. Now, I've joked about him being apartheid edgelord, but it's not a joke. His family made money off of one of the worst regimes in South Africa. The man's only known all his life that forcing others through ideology works for his profits. So, of course, he would be pro anybody who would live like that. He would love to be an oligarch. He would love to make that kind of money, have a set lifestyle where the government works for you instead of against you and just keeps others down. Where you have nothing but your pick of the litter of untrained, unpaid workers that you can take advantage of. He is the epitome of what's wrong with our society because they still will say, well, he's got billions. He's obviously somebody that we should aspire to or look up to. We should put him on a pedestal. He was born on a pedestal. He have any if you had taken Elon Musk, raised him normally, without any of the funds, without any of his father's connections, he would be selling popcorn at the fucking AMC if he was lucky. I have watched that man the last year between the way he speaks, and I know social awkwardness happens. I am it's easier for me to speak in front of a camera than it is face to face from time to time, unless I'm mentally preparing myself. So I get that much. But for somebody who supposedly he thinks on a different level than us, he seems very unable or unwilling to convey who he is, what he wants, because he knows the things that he wants won't gel with everybody, because he's very pro authoritarian. He's very pro if you don't hop to the way I want you to hop, I would you shouldn't be here. And I don't have any room in my life for idealizing the fascists. Fascists are never good. You might think you'll be safe under fascism. You might think you'll be okay under somebody like Elon or Trump. But those of us who have survived their nonsense, especially the fallout of 45, as I like to call him, because he's still radioactive as far as I'm concerned, we've lost too much. And we cannot afford to keep idealizing these tantruming men. My friend Case made such a good point tonight. And it was actually earlier in the afternoon, but I didn't see it till tonight because we got the new fridge in. I'm loving it. I call her Birdie. She is roomy, pretty, so much better than the old fridge. But she made a good point about Elon Musk that a lot of people refuse to understand. And they'll downplay because, oh, you're talking about sexism. I don't care about women. And of course, that's a problem. You don't. A woman in Elon Musk's position would have not only lost her company, she would have been put on a conservatorship. Because it's real easy for a man to have a literal mental breakdown and not lose any power, which is what we're seeing from little Mr. Well, I didn't execute journalist Musk. And she brought up Kanye West too, which Kanye should have been had somebody step in. Man is hemorrhaging stuff with his pro Hitler leans. But if he had been a female, that wouldn't have been a question. Some adult relative could have stepped in and said, you know what? They're not right in the head. I'm going to need you, Judge, to give me in all charge of their funds. Wendy Williams had to go through it. Britney Spears had to go through it. I think both of the Simpson sisters had to go through it. Hannah Montana had to go through it. I know that's not her name. I keep Miley Cyrus. So many famous celebrity women who earned their bag had to struggle in this fucked up legal system to control their own money. And that is the reality of this unfair societal system that tells a woman that we can't have bad days and be successful. We can't have bad days and have opportunistic family come into the picture. I had a dream last night about finally coming into a large set of money, and instead of giving me peace, I started panicking because it was like, what happens if Greg and I do start seeing that kind of success? What can I set up to protect us from the people that are closest to us that would do us the dirtiest? And that is a sad reality of our family structure and our society. Having opportunistic relatives has harmed so many people who just want to do right. I just want to make sure that kiddo has, when I pass especially, but while I'm alive as well. And I've got to worry that every bit of success that I make will be met by opportunistic people that think just because we're related, they have a right. It's a messed up way to be. It's messed up feeling like I've got to downplay any success. I've got to literally set up safety measures. And as a woman with clear documented mental health issues, I've got to worry about somebody trying to step in, literally supersede my ability to make my own decisions for me. Yet these men can literally go on pro-Nazi rants, literal fascism tweets, and nobody stepping in because we still put men on these undeserved pedestals, even when we are literally watching in real time them having damn near nervous breakdowns. Musk made a lot of bad decisions. And I'm not afraid to say that. You wasted $44 billion on something you didn't understand. And you're not the first. I'm a Gen Xer. There's been plenty of times where I've looked at something like, I can do that. I think the older you get, the more it's like a SAS meter. You think, I can do that job. That's easy. Especially if you're an old black woman from the island. When you have that island life, it just comes natural to have that I can do that attitude. You looked at Twitter and thought, I can do what Jack does. And apparently you can't. Because within your first week, you were hemorrhaging workers. You messed up on an international level. And I don't think people understand because we can't seem to look outside our own backyard a lot of times when it comes to Twitter. But Twitter is a global social media platform, which means you have to hire people internationally. Jack was running teams here and in several nations, obeying their laws especially their labor laws. Musk said, nah, I'm not going to do that. Fucked up their Ireland office because you gave them literally a week to try to find not only a new place to live, but to get to an office that a lot of them, because they were working remote, because need I remind you, COVID's still a thing. You threatened their only livelihood if they didn't show up on site, violating several labor laws overseas. This is why I say you should have better people in your corner, Elon, because you don't. Because if you have one black friend, and I don't believe he has any black friends, I don't believe Dave Chappelle for a moment. I believe you have celebrities that will kiss your ass and have you around because you're a good photo op, but you don't have a real black friend. Because if you had one true, actual black friend, they would have told you, don't waste your money on that. Why are you buying Twitter? You can already be the cool guy on Twitter just being Elon Musk. Get better memes, tweet a bit more, but don't waste $44 billion to look like a dork, because that's all you've done. You've wasted $44 billion. You are literally making your actual car company look like shit. All this has been is a PR nightmare. People either canceling Tesla orders, sending their Tesla back, more news articles about Tesla's locking people out of their cars or locking them in. Don't think it hasn't been noticed that people have shined the spotlight on how subpar these cars are in compared to competitors. And this is all because their owner decided to be vanity over actual sanity. And that is the reality of this situation. He's far from the only one. I was going to leave Homeboy alone because I thought it would be funnier to just not even make him relevant. But I think 2022 has taught us that this is the year karma is coming for all of these excessive tech pros. And the metaverse should be another cautionary tale on excessive spending, excessive waste, and assuming that you know what people on the internet want without actually talking to people. Because that's the problem that Mark Zuckerberg has. He just assumed, well, people like video games and people like being online, and I want people's data. So how can I make this interesting? I'm not going to talk to the people because they're poor. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to get an idea or a feel for what they actually want. And I know that people on Facebook playing those really bad gotcha games. So what can I do to combine all of that and make myself a lot of money? In comes the metaverse, which when I tell you, I don't even understand it. When they told me that he paid over $15 billion so far has been lost, I thought, okay, the graphics has got to at least be nice. You don't got legs on your avatar. It is literally Wii U circa 2003 level graphics, and I'm being generous with that because I'm pretty sure that I remember the Wii graphics and they were a lot better. Mii's had legs. He spent 15 billion on really bad overused Unity assets. And to do things that most people don't want to do in reality. Like, oh, I could stand up in front of other legless avatars and tell bad jokes. Or I can do a virtual tour of a Walmart. I don't even want to take a regular tour of a Walmart. Why would I do a virtual tour of it? I mean, I get how integrating actual stores would be ingenious if it wasn't ugly, but legitimately, Roblox did it better. Come on, dude. You have way too much competition for this. And then you thought, well, it doesn't matter how this looks. It's all about the VR set. Okay. So the cheapest VR set is 100 and I believe 49.99, which is already way too much because VR is crap and most people get motion sickness from it anyway. But he also has a $1,500 one. And it's like, who is this for? Well, it's for offices where you'll be able to have your meetings virtually. And it's like, this is how you know this dude is out of touch. And he's forcing his employees, and once he has a fire, because they've let go over 11,000 jobs now. Him, Amazon, it has been a year of really super wealthy dudes telling people that they're fired. It's annoying. But when you think about having to work for Meta and being one of the few unlucky that didn't get the chopping block for Christmas, and then being told not only do you have to sign into that ugly, I think they got legs now, but still shitty graphics, metaverse on a very expensive VR headset, I don't understand it. But all this year has proven is money doesn't make people better. That tech is not going to be driven by the rich. They are out of touch. They do not understand what poor people do online. You have all of our data, you mine it enough to farm ads at us. But yet you don't understand what drives us, what entertainment drives us, what interests drive us. You don't understand that, yes, social media has become a huge part of our society, so much that a lot of us can't go a day without it. But instead of utilizing that in a positive way and utilizing your platform to continue and move on to the future in a healthy way, you decided to try to be exploitative and it blew up in your face. I don't know how many of you believe in karma, but I do wholeheartedly. And what Zuckerberg and both Musk are going through this year is full on queen size karma. And it's because they went about this so wrong. They went about this where I know because I got money. They went about this with the idea that I can take this and make more money off people. I'm going to charge $8 for people to verify themselves. The whole idea of verified Twitter was A, to stop harassment, spoof accounts, and to protect those who actually made a name for themselves from those things. It should not have been a payment process. And if you wanted to have a payment model, which a lot of us said, if Twitter wanted to have an actual pay thing, which they did roll out with their initial blue, which was only about $2 a month, and you could have paid for things like edit features, SEO stuff, and I almost did it. But it wasn't going to get me a verified mark. It shouldn't have. It would have got you a little icon saying that you're a paid member, blah, blah, blah. I think if he had rolled it out that way, it would have been more respected. It probably would have been even, people would have did it. But you linked it to verification, which not only sullied what verification was supposed to be about, but who the heck in the world wants to pay to say I'm verified when we have seen over the last few years that verification doesn't make a person better? All the journalists who were verified, I think out of like a lot of them, most were blocked anyway. Even the few that I was standing up for early in this cast. Because a lot of them are overpaid, spoiled, entitled trust fund idiots. And I just don't want to retweet or amplify the lies that they spread on there using the platform given to them. But a lot of people were legitimately buying this verification now, knowing that people would think, oh, they're verified, they must be important, and not, oh, they're verified, they spent $8. He legitimately killed verification as far as I'm concerned. And it's kind of funny because I was kind of hoping for that at the beginning of the year as a joke. I didn't think that was what Musk was going to give to me for Christmas. I was getting nervous because the higher my number got, the more chances I was going to end up with that check mark, and I didn't want it anymore. And I know people didn't believe me. They thought I was just joking or I was just being funny. I legit don't need it. My verification comes from being able to interact with my friends. My verification comes from the fact that I was able to put out my book. My verification comes from all the kindness and empathy that people show. I don't need no Twitter verification. And I would be damned if I paid for Twitter Blue now. When it was Jack's program and it was $2 a month for editing and SEO features, yeah, I would have considered it. I think that would have been a good deal, actually. And it wouldn't have gotten me verified. It would have just been my way of supporting the company. As a gamer, I've done it. That's another thing that I don't think the metaverse understands. There were plenty of ways to appeal to gamers with your program that you're not seeing because you're not surrounded with people with insight. You're surrounded by yes people, these kind of people, they don't want to hear the real. They're not willing to take actual chances with stuff. They just want to feel like they're being innovative without being innovative. And the future of our digital society cannot be in the hands of these out of touch, abundantly wealthy, but no empathy type beings. And trust me, as somebody who writes sci fi, as somebody who loves this kind of stuff, I do believe that our future is tech, our future is digital. I don't know if we'll ever go to the realms of what I wrote about, but we are getting to the point where living with the internet is a way of life. It is now a necessary utility. It is now how a lot of us work and make our money. It is a big part of education. It is everywhere. And as we get better ways to connect to one another, we need to be mindful that these people are going to make profit, but they need to make sure that they're not doing it at our expense. Now, I've joined posts, as you've seen earlier when I was showing that posting of those ugly ass NFTs. And so far, it has been a peaceful place to be. Is it going to stay that way? Of course not. Anytime new faces show up, I'm always staring like, do I know you? Why are you bothering me? I've seen quite a few people I know, though, which makes me smile. It's new. Just like how I felt when I had to get Twitter, I wasn't happy about it. But the fact of the matter is, while we watch him burn our actual prime real estate down, I want to keep as many connections as I made over 10 years. I think it's fair for many of us who've built those connections, who love finding each other on a daily basis, commiserating about things, sharing ideas, talking recipes, sharing pictures of our food, our kids, our pets. That's what social media is supposed to be about. And in the last 3 years, with the world being unsteady and unsure and literally sick, this has been a lifeline to so many people. And to watch this man destroy that with his ego is infuriating. But it's not defeating because, unlike even a few years back, I'd even say 4 years back, when he really didn't have any competition, we have Post, we have Mastodon, we have Spoutable. I even found out my old LinkedIn login. I reactivated my LinkedIn account. And what was the other one? I keep forgetting the name of it. There's a blog site where you can post pictures. Tumblr. I mean, there are alternatives for us. And we got Discord, which I really do need to sign on my Discord more. It's just when I get up, I go right into my routine, and especially with writing. I don't want distractions. I get very surly when I get into a creative spot and then somebody's dinging me because they want to talk at me, and yeah, no. So I know I need to get better with signing on to Discord, and I will because we do have a Discord server. But there are ways for us to meet up, to congregate. My worry is if I left Twitter completely, there'd be nobody to press back against the Pippas. Nobody to press back against the open misogynoir and misogyny that we are going to continuously see against this administration. The PACs like that don't run Joe, which is obviously another Bernie Brat front. And they're obviously going to fail. And it's bad enough that our media is literally running stuff like, oh, Sanders is saying he's considering a run if Biden doesn't run in 2024. And Biden said he's running. So I don't even understand why that would be printed or who's speculating it. But Sanders needs to just stay home in Vermont. You've got enough money, you've bought enough houses, and nobody wants you as president. The people who claim to want you don't turn out to vote for you. And my ass will never vote for you. So all these little cutesy packs that still won't translate into organizing and actually getting the vote don't mean nothing to me. It's just another antic that I'm going to ignore. But it's really frustrating seeing what we're going to have to put up with the next 2 years. And I say two, but it's literally only another year because we're at the end of 2022 and it hits me sometimes. This year both felt super fast, but super long in places. It felt like there were times where it was like, it can't be December already. Where did the time go? But there were just these weird in betweens where it felt like, oh my God, what is going on? Between the top shooting and Uvalde, reminding us of why we need legislators who don't tell us that we need more freedom to kill each other over we need to protect our kids. When I look at all the trials that we had to deal with this year from last year and even years ago, like Atatiana Jackson's Jefferson's trial, which, yes, he was found guilty of manslaughter. I hope he gets sentenced to at least 5 to 10 years. He deserves to be in prison for what he did. And then you have that young man in Michigan who's probably going to go to jail for the rest of his life for stealing 7 lives in a school shooting. It has been a crazy year. We watched a murderer cross state lines, murder 2 people, injure another, and get literally railroaded into a not guilty plea. Now he's doing a PR tour, acting like anybody who calls him what he is, which is a murderer, is slandering him. No, we're just stating the fact. You might not have been convicted of it, but you took a life twice with a gun that you shouldn't have owned across state lines. Anybody else would be sitting under a prison. That this is America, where a black child in a hoodie is considered more dangerous than an armed white boy at a rally that he shouldn't have been in the first place. 2022 has been a really weird year. One of gains and losses, ones of triumph and damn near tragedies. But we are hopeful. And I don't think people understand. When I looked at things like Brittany Griner coming home, stuff that people were taunting people like me, they were looking for people like me to taunt on social media about her being in a Russian colony and what are you going to do about it? Your president's going to let her die. I literally had people tweeting that at me because they thought that was helpful. And now these same people, crickets, as she's home and free. And her first interview wasn't, oh, this is how I suffered this. No, she thanked our president and said she knows this administration is going to do what they can to help others over there, and she is going to do everything she can to help because that is how the black spirit is. She could have came home broken. She could have came home beaten, but she was like, no, I am determined to help others like me. And that is what gives me hope because my people know what it's like to not only be dehumanized, to be used and put in unimaginable horrors and surviving it. And we go on and still bring empathy and compassion for those around us because that's all we can do. We know we can't change the world by acting as bitter and messed up as everybody else. We have to keep blazing that path forward. We have to keep dragging some people with us, but we cannot stop. And that is what 2023 has to be about. Even if you don't have a bunch of major elections, one of the points I've seen earlier tonight that I think keeps getting swept under the rug is how many focused conservative groups have been getting into our school boards and banning books, getting into our lower legislation and helping things like Don't Say Gay get passed. We have to start being vigilant against this. Even if you're not planning to run for something yourself, you need to vote against these people. All of these elections for school board are just that. And they should not be able to just get in to those positions because they are doing damage and it's on purpose. You destabilize the educational system, you destabilize the society. A destabilized society is easy for a wannabe autocrat or despot to take control. And America cannot survive an actual autocrat. I need you to understand that. I say this as somebody who loves history. Every country that has allowed that has seen untold death, untold disparity between the wages, and just only growth and profit for those who already have way too much in the first place. And I don't want to see us fall into those patterns because we are sandwiched between the people who think, well, it won't be bad for me because I'm the right skin color. It won't be bad for me because it wasn't bad for me under 45. What? They're taking my rights? I didn't know it was gonna be that bad. I didn't know I had to pay attention. I'm telling you, for those of us who see how bad it could be because we both know history and we're not the chosen ones, we know that we have a lot to do. And what I need you to do is so many of you organize the heck out of this year. I want you to take time to pat yourselves on the back, relax for the holidays. But next year, we need to get our game face on. We might not have a Twitter to organize, but we have posts, we have Mastodon, Spoutable supposedly coming. I don't know if I filled out that thing right or not. I'm old, and there were just way too many things for me to fill out this week as it was, and I'm getting annoyed. I hate waiting lists as it is. It reminds me of Studio 54. And I'm trying not to old lady rant about it, but I think I filled out the stuff for Spoutable too. All I know is that we will congregate, we will organize, but we need to have a game plan for localized elections. It's real good to have a national game plan, but we already have a set team for 2024. And unlike our media, who's trying to spout all kinds of bullshit nonsense about, well, he should do this and he should do that, he should run with VP Harrison. Y'all need to shut the fuck up. We have a clear need for localized focus. And we have a DNC that not only knows how to organize and strategize for key races. But Jamie Harrison said it and he meant it. There is no such thing as an unwinnable election. And he's shown in places like Idaho, which most people didn't even realize there were Dems running in Idaho, I bet. They got a few wins. I read them off last week. Alaska, where I'm still loving the look of shock on Sarah Palin's face when she realized not only did she lose, but she lost to a Democrat. This is what happens when we do our part, but when we also have people who are willing to do the work, who don't believe in such things as unwinnable, who understand the assignment. And we have that now. And that is why I am hopeful. That is why I can go into 2023 not feeling as heavy and depressed as I did the last 4 years. Even after we swore in Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, I was worried. I carried a lot of trauma from 45 on my back, in my brain. It was in my system. But this last few months alone has been like a detox. Watching competence do their job, seeing people legitimately go on with life. I'm actually looking forward to the holidays for the first time in over 4 years. And that is why I have hope up on the screen. That's why I'm telling you right now that should be your main focus. But we also have to turn that hope into action. We have to strategize, y'all. But I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. I want to thank you all for sitting in with me. Thank you again to everybody once again who has been liking and sharing that art creative collective. It's ongoing until the end of next month, I believe. And like I said, there's no pressure. I know there's a lot going on for people. This is just to help out myself and fellow artists when we need. Give what you can, share if you can. It is all appreciated. But I am going to get ready to wrap this up. I may or may not stream on Sunday. It just depends on how I feel. But I will be back on Tuesday with another Bonnet Chronicles. I just want to thank you all so much for being just amazing and supportive. Terry, Baller, Axiom Wolf, respect all of you who sent in beans. I know that you tried to make it too. I just want to give you a personalized shout out to all of my friends, even the ones that I haven't seen for a while in here, because I know life has come at you fast. I appreciate you all because I know that you go on to the YouTube and you watch the re-uploads of this as well. But I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. Honey, do you want to do the honors or do you want me to do it? Because I know you've been waiting. You can start the music or I'll start the music. But we're going to get ready to wrap this cast up. And I got dinner to make. Birdie has been making everything nice and cold. I love that fridge so much. It is so cool. All right, I'm going to give him 10 seconds. Cannot cheer my own. I'm not trying to cheer my own channel. I'm trying to play some music. Okay, there we go. There we go. Y'all have a great night, and I will see you on the next one. Love y'all.